Hello, welcome to Lights Camera Aggro, the podcast for two friends, one film, very little agreement, and I'm Phil, and welcome to the party, pal.
And I'm Nicky. I'm going to count to 3. There will not be a 4. It's our second Christmas special this week, so before we deck the halls and let it snow, it's Phil's turn to share a Christmas movie he loves. Today he's bought the 1988 film Die Hard.
But first, it's a seasonal question for you. What are the things that are available all year round, but you only ever buy at Christmas?
Oh, okay. So many. Well, okay, first of all, obviously the Radio Times. I do not know how the Radio Times stays in business all year round. It must be from its Christmas.
It's got to be from Christmas. What was the other one?
The TV Times.
The TV Times and the Radio Times.
That was ITV and Radio Times and BBC.
Is the TV Times still available?
I don't know. But Radio Times, they're now able to publish all of everyone's schedule, not just like the one they were attributed to.
I wonder if they bought them out or something and just did it.
Let's have a look. But when I was a kid, we'd had the Radio Times and the TV Times, and now it's just the Radio Times. Also, cherry liqueurs. Actually, are they available all year round?
I'm sure they are. I mean, like, people drink all the time.
Off the internet, maybe. But yeah, I love those at Christmas. Twiglets.
Yeah, Twiglets.
I'm sure they're definitely available all year round. It's not that I don't like them. You know, if you bought me a packet of Twiglets now, I would probably eat them. But at Christmas, it's like I have to have them. I have to have them in a little bowl with drinks. It's mad. The other thing is, do you know those? I don't know what the right name is, but you get them in the crisp section. They're like little bags of almost like little cheddars, but little tiny shapes. So you get little squares, little circles, little triangles. Yeah. They're like cheesy biscuits.
Yes.
What are they called?
I'm not.
Cheesy biscuits.
Yeah, cheesy biscuits.
I love them, and so I have to have those at Christmas. And I was actually in a shop yesterday, which is not one I go to normally. It's near where I live, but I don't normally go to it. But I just dropped in yesterday, and the last time I was in there was just before Christmas, and I bought 3 big packs, £1 each, bargain.
Nice.
The little local Morrisons. And I looked on the crisp section yesterday, and they didn't have them. So maybe they aren't available all year round.
Maybe not.
Anyway, what about you? Yours?
Oh well. After 8 mints.
Yes.
For a start, absolutely. Always Christmas tradition.
Absolutely.
Baileys.
Yes.
Baileys
absolutely.
is always a Christmas thing.
Wouldn't drink it any other time of year.
You know, and the other one, are they we call matchmakers or matchstick?
Yeah, matchmakers.
Yeah. Them at Christmas.
That's such
the orange and the mint flavour.
There's something about like the mint chocolate version of anything that is Christmas.
I've had another couple of classics to that.
Okay.
Quality Street tin.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, the plastic now, aren't they? And I think like the little Danish cookies that come in a tin.
Huh?
Yep.
What?
The little like butter biscuits. They come in like a blue tin.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. It's like a swirly one and one with like big sugar on top.
Yeah. Them always at Christmas. I love those. Probably why I'm the shape I am today.
Yeah, I know.
But it's always a Christmas. But it's a big tin. Always get a big tin at Christmas.
Oh, I love this. I definitely now need to go and buy some of those things for my Christmas season.
Yeah,
I really want cheesy biscuits now.
I'm now writing a Christmas list as we speak to go and buy half the things that you just said.
Okay. Before we start, remember, this is going to be full of spoilers. If you haven't seen Die Hard, now's the time to pause the pod and come back when you're done. We'll be waiting. So, Phil, why did you choose... And I mean this with all my heart. Why did you choose Die Hard?
Well, I enjoy the film. I love the fact that it's a bit controversial, which we're not going to go into too much where people debate, is it a Christmas movie, is it not a Christmas movie?
It's hardly a controversy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of it online, is it or isn't it? To me, it is a Christmas movie. I enjoy the fact that it's a different type of Christmas film where, it's not about family getting together and stuff. I mean, it's a film I could watch any time of the year, and I'll put it into the same bracket as Lethal Weapon 1. They're both set at Christmas, but you could watch it any point. But as we were doing Christmas podcasts, I didn't want to go for one of the big hitters like Elf, Home Alone, something like that. So I just felt something a little bit different to counterbalance your choice.
The saccharine, the love story that I present.
And I mean, this film does have its problems, but I still enjoy it. If it was, half an hour in and I'm flicking through the channels it was on, I would always stop and watch it. It's just a childhood film I remember a lot of, and I remember a great deal of enjoyment while I watched it. And Yeah, it was just good to pick.
Did you watch it when it came out in 1988?
I think I was a bit too young. I might have seen it on VHS
Okay.
or DVD. I can't
Okay.
remember. Yeah.
So I had never seen this, but you know, I was aware of the cultural phenomenon that was Bruce Willis in a white vest. That was inescapable growing up. But I didn't see the film until about 10 years ago for the first time. And I think it's because you made me watch it. I genuinely think you said to me, and you're like, I can't believe you've not watched it. And so I did watch it, and I think I did watch it at Christmas because you were banging on about it probably. And so I've seen it once, and then I've watched it again this week for this. You're right, the big debate online is, I would say, pathetic.
Yeah.
People need to get over themselves. When you Google, as I always do after we've done a film about for the podcast, I always Google the name of the film and then discourse to see what people are saying. It's so much of this is about, is it a Christmas film? Yes it is. It's I Will Die on This Hill. No it's not, I Will Die on This Hill. And it's just dull. And I honestly believe, and I don't have the evidence to back up this belief, but I honestly believe that no one gave two shits about that in 1988 or even 1998, 10 years after it came out. It is the rise of social media that makes everything have to be a cultural war, a divisive issue. No one cared no one was arguing the toss in pubs in the early 90s about whether that film that came out 3 years ago was or was not a Christmas film. It's why Brexit happened. It's why communities get targeted. It's divisive, awful rhetoric because everyone has to take a side. This is not a terrible topic that's going to wreck a country or wreck a vulnerable group in society, but it's just a boring, silly thing. If you like it at Christmas, great. If you don't. I personally don't think it's a Christmas film because it doesn't feel what I want to feel at Christmas. But that doesn't matter because you like it.
So in terms of the debate, you know,
which we're spending far too long talking about already.
Yeah, we'll do it. My opinion, and it is only my opinion, so it doesn't mean that I'm 100% right. The film is set at a Christmas party. Yeah. Okay. The topic of the film may not be Christmassy, about joy and stuff like that, but you look at several films that are set at Christmas, they're just love stories, but they're set at a love story at Christmas. It's the same thing. This is just an action movie set at Christmas.
I think some people would argue there is a love story in this. I wouldn't. Some people would argue we'll talk about that particular plot point as we go along.
Love story between Hans and John.
Don't start me on Hans, I'm a big fan. But also, I would argue, not that I care enough to argue it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I agree, it is set for Christmas, and there are maybe 2 or 3 lines, plus the Christmas party setting, that means you would have to slightly tweak it to make it not a Christmas film. Or you literally just set it at a summer party, and you literally take out the line, ho, 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 every so often. And it still holds, it's basically about thieves and a guy stopping the thieves. That can be any time of year. It's okay if you want to watch it at Christmas and feel Christmassy and love it, good. Doesn't mean, people who disagree.
And again, it's all about opinions, isn't it? You know, it's an action
There's
film.
Too many opinions.
It's an action film first and foremost. It's the movie that introduced Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman to the Hollywood world.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it occurred to me, I don't think I've seen that many Bruce Willis films. Like I said, I'm very aware of his white vest image when I was a child and a teenager. I think I've seen, other than Die Hard now, obviously, and that's a lot later, I think I've seen, is it The Whole 9 Yards?
Yeah.
Matthew Perry's in it. I watched that and he's like, I don't know if he's a bad guy or they think he's a bad guy. I can't remember the plot, to be honest, it's not that good. And I remember him being in Friends, presumably around the time he filmed with Matthew Perry. He was a bit part in Friends. And other than that, I don't think I've seen any other film he's been in.
So, I used to love Moonlighting.
Oh, you said
I was a huge Moonlighting fan. Then, when that ended, he was in a film called Blind Date with Kim
Basinger.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it, not me. Is it Basinger?
Yeah.
And they go on a date, and it's like rule number 1: don't let her drink, because as soon as she starts drinking, she goes wild and stuff. And it was a great comedy film and stuff like that. This film, Die Hard, elevated him to an action star, and he was a different type of action star, because prior to that, all the action stars within that kind of genre were all, huge hulk of a man like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone. And the difference with this movie is Bruce Willis was vulnerable. You know, you see him bleed, you see him stuff like that.
We'll talk about him.
Oh,
His
we'll wait till we get to movies like Commando, where they're getting shot by about 800 army guys and never get hit. So this showed a different type of action hero to what had come before.
Okay, I'll accept that.
So we'll get down to a bit of the plot.
A bit of the plot.
A lot of plot. And it starts off at an airport with John McClane coming through by himself. He's speaking to the guy next to him, who says the key to airplane travel is to make fists with your feet a couple of hours after you've landed.
On a carpet.
On a carpet, which is...
In bed.
Yeah, which is foreshadowing for something that happens later. And then we get to meet Argyle, the limo driver.
Okay, we're skating over these opening moments of the film. And all I will say is there were like red flags for me the whole time. Some of them were funny red flags, like we see the office party.
Oh, they haven't started on the office party yet.
Okay, but within the first 5 minutes, we see a heavily pregnant woman saying she's going to go and get a drink, which, to be fair, I don't actually mind. It's her body, and the kid's probably fine at that age. We see John McClane smoking in the airport, which just immediately, dates him. Also, because no one else is, it makes it look like he's a renegade. Like, we're supposed to think he's a renegade, even though probably people did light up as soon as he got into airport. So we see him on a plane going, he's having a holiday. He's going to spend Christmas with his, albeit estranged, family. But he's carrying a gun. Red flag, right? To me, that's a red flag. I know he's a cop, and I know he legally probably has the right to carry it, but that doesn't mean, you know, in your job, when you travel about for work with your hairdressing scissors, when you go on holiday, do you have your hairdressing scissors holster over your shoulder as you get your luggage? Do you see what I mean? You can't leave work, you can't leave it at home. He has to travel with a deadly weapon.
Understand that, but it also shows that he's a... Because the guy who sat next to him goes, I've been doing this for 8 years, and then he sees the gun, gets a little bit shocked. He goes, don't worry, I'm a police officer, I've been doing it for 11 years.
I worry about a police officer taking his gun on holidays. All I'm saying, there were red flags. I mean, I didn't really have them coalescing into a clanging siren of warning for me yet.
Okay.
There were red flags.
Okay, I will ask a similar question of a different film that I know you like. Did you have a problem with Axel Foley taking his gun to Beverly Hills when he went on holiday?
Well, he was going specifically to find out who had killed his friend, yeah? So he was there, I agree, probably for bad reasons, against the law reasons. Well, that was the whole premise of the film there. He was going to avenge his friend's death. And it's an action thing, and yes, he's going to probably shoot somebody or whatever. It's not...
All right.
Morally, it's not fine.
I'll agree with your point. I agree with your point.
Christmas with a bloody gun on his shoulder.
It doesn't matter. Maybe it's a requirement to have a gun on you at all times. Maybe he's well known.
It's setting him up to show us that he's a violent mofo. Anyway,
we cut to the Christmas party at the Nakatomi Tower.
Yes.
And there's lots of hijinks going. We're introduced to Holly for the first time.
Gennaro. I never said. Well, sometimes I don't know how you spell it because I've seen it different on.
It's Holly Gennaro.
Gennaro. It's E-R-R-O.
Gennaro.
It doesn't matter. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a name, but it's very important that we call her that name because that's what she's chosen to go by, and I will respect her wishes.
Yeah, and we see she's very high position within the company. Her boss is Joe Takagi, and also Ellis is in the background.
Now, we're not allowed to use C-bombs on this podcast, but he is one of them.
Yes.
I hate him.
Yeah.
I hate him very much.
Do you know, and I'm going to bring another movie into this, and I never realised it was the same guy, because in another movie, he's played as a hunk. He's a hunk. He's the man who Supergirl fancies in the Supergirl film.
I don't know.
And it was just like, ridiculous. And I was like, oh my God, that's him. So... John's picked up by Argyle. Argyle says it's his first time driving anybody in a limo. John McClane says, well, don't worry, it's my first time riding a limo. And they both sit in the front.
Yeah.
And
I thought that was funny.
Yeah. And they're having like good banter as they go along.
The moment that Argyle is in the airport with the name Sam, John McClane gives him a really funny look. And I don't know why. Is it because he's a racist, horrible person? Is it because Argyle looks young? I don't know. But there was a definite, a kind of a I don't know, just a slightly sneering, slightly who are you type. I didn't like it.
So
I don't understand why.
My take on that was he was expecting Holly to meet him at the airport, and it wasn't Holly.
Okay. Also, she's got a job. She's got a big impressive job.
She's out of work. It's out of work hours. Work's finished. They're at a party.
Okay.
So
I was just hoping we weren't being told that John McClane is also a racist
no, he's
as well
not.
as a misogynist.
He's not. Of course, he's not. Because the following conversation, him and Argyle are having a really good conversation, having a laugh and things like that.
That's okay. I was you see, because you have one red flag, you start noticing more or potential red flags. You have to put them out. Okay.
So they go to the Nakatomi Tower, and Argyle says, "Do you want me to wait?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know how this is going to go with."
A strange wife.
He's a strange wife. So Argyle goes, okay, and decides to have a little party and start ringing people on the phone in the limo.
The comedy.
Yeah. So John arrives at the party, and you can see Holly's a little bit shocked to see him, and gives him a little bit of a kiss on the side of his cheek, but you can see it's forced, and you can see that they are estranged.
She's gone for a really cool job that's very impressive and exciting. He, as Argyle rightly points out, didn't want to go because he didn't think that the job was going to last and she was going to fail, which is lovely supportive husband, and it's actually doing really well. So he's now having to go to spend Christmas with his wife, who he's not supported in any way. She's turned the family photo face down. She uses her maiden name, which she should do. Of course she should. It's her name. She should use it anyway. I think all women should use their names that they were born with. But anyway, that's just me. And he turns up looking like an absolute fish out of water. It's not his world. And
that's how it's supposed to be, yeah.
And it is fine, because it isn't his world. But the way he acts like it should be his world, and the way he acts as he's walking around the party, and some tipsy guy says "Happy Christmas" and gives him a kiss on the cheek, and the look of disgust on his face makes me want to smack him.
See, I didn't see the look of disgust. No, I didn't see a look of disgust. I just didn't know who it was. That is simple as that.
Because it was a
No, that's
you
your
think a strange woman going up and doing that would give him the same look.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
exactly.
No way.
Exactly.
No way.
See, you're reading too much into
Absolutely not. He's just gross.
Yeah. So when we're introduced to Ellis for the first time, Ellis is sniffing drugs.
Oh yeah.
And Joe Takagi goes, "Oh, this is Holly's husband, who's a police officer."
Yeah.
And then Ellis, this really weird thing, like we showed him the watch.
Yeah.
It's a Rolex. He's just one of the most awful characters written.
And I thoroughly enjoyed what happened to him.
Yeah, which we'll get to in a little bit.
Can I just point out that, and I do feel like I'm labouring this point, but I'm not, because if I don't, the film could have been so much different, more different. The film could have been very different from it had this not been the way this character was set up. There's a bit where he turns up at the office, meets Alice, all that, and Holly says, "I missed you," and he says, first thing he pretty much says to her, "I guess you didn't miss my name, except when you were signing checks." Now at that point, Holly needs to dump him, tell him to turn around, get on a plane, get Argyle to run back to the airport. He has no business being in her life or her children's life. Is that the attitude he's going to espouse? There is no question in my mind that he is a shit of a husband, right? Now, that's all I'm saying. I could repeat it a million times, but I'm not going to. But that's what you need to get, how angry I am at him as a character, because that's some of the whole attitude of, non-supportiveness and horribleness, which is why I struggled to root for him all the way through.
So I understand where you're coming from.
Good.
But this is the first time he's seen that she's reverted to her maiden name. And he didn't know, but hang on a second, but he didn't know. And then she comes up with the reason. It's a Japanese company.
She doesn't need to give him a reason. She
she does.
She does not.
And I would say it's the bit of shock that he'd seen that it's Gennaro.
If he's going to be shocked by that, okay, but he can go, "Oh, you've changed your name. Oh, you're using your own name. Oh, that's shock or surprise." What it is like, "Guess you didn't miss it when you were signing checks," is a horrible thing to say. You know it is. Come on.
I just think it's a bit of a shitty line, but at the same time comes across shock. I'll disagree with that.
Okay.
So we get the bad guys starting to come towards the building in a truck and a car. The truck goes into the parking bay, where Argyle is, but he's in a different part, so he doesn't see her. Oh, and also he's having the party with live talking.
Oh, he's living his best life.
Is he talking to his girlfriend, I would imagine, on the phone? He's just whatever. The bad guys, we'll call these henchmen because they don't get names in the movie.
Well, they do, but I can't remember.
Yeah,
they're sort of interchangeable, but
they walk through and they shoot the security guard on the desk, and then as one of them walks around the corner, I don't get this. I do like this movie, but I'll pick bits out which I don't understand.
Okay.
There's another guard round the corner with his back to him, so he rolls out a flash bomb to scare the guard and shoot him. He had his back to him. He could have just shot him anyway. It just felt a little bit like,
I remember that.
What are you doing that for? But yeah,
I did. I mean, I made the note here that as this, like they kind of force their way into the building. There's shots immediately. That is pretty much. And again, everyone has their view, and I don't care if it's different or good. That's where it's not a Christmas movie for me, because I don't want to see people getting shot in a Christmas movie.
Of course, it does happen, yeah.
Just me, but you know what I mean. That's the line for me.
Yeah. So we then cut to John, who's now in his white vest and he's got his socks off and he's making fists with his toes.
I do have an issue. Right, this is nothing to do with this film, but it's worth saying I don't like feet. So there was a lot of foot action. Foot fetishists would have a field day. I do not like seeing people's feet. And there was. So
you tell me it's one of Quentin Tarantino's favourite films?
Is he a foot person?
Yes, he is.
Oh, didn't know.
Which will bring in a whole discourse if we ever do. What's the one with Selma Hayek, where he does a scene where he pours wine down her leg onto a foot into his mouth, and I cannot watch that scene knowing what I know now.
I just don't like feet, so I don't want to see Bruce Willis's feet, even when they were like not harmed in any way. I'm still not into it. So there's too much feet moving.
So as Bruce has just made his fists with his toes, and he goes, "What do you know?" and he feels better about the jet lag and stuff. The bad guys enter the party.
Enter Alan Rickman.
Yes, Hans Gruber. Now, to me, right, and this is one of the reasons why I love the movie so much. It's one of the best bad guys on screen. He just does it so well.
I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
I liked his performance a lot, and I liked the character a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that's more because I didn't like John McTiernan.
Yeah, well, but he's the perfect. It's the perfect balance of John and Hans.
Really well.
You know, John's bit rough around the edges, he's good guy, right? Where Hans is the bad guy, but very clean and polished.
So, I mean, my misgivings about John McClane's characters, that's not about that now. There's definitely a really good visual difference between. I mean, certainly when John McClane starts getting like through the shaft and he's covered in shit and everything, he looks feral.
Yeah.
He looks animalistic. He's walking around barefoot, like he's ripped stuff, blood everywhere. He looks like he's literally not non-human.
Yeah.
Whereas Hans is like, a
perfect suit. Yeah.
Very calm and controlled and very clear and very, and I do like that. It's good.
So one of the things while they enter this party, they're looking for Joe Takagi, right?
They're looking at what, sorry?
Joe Takagi for the head.
I keep saying in my head it's Tagaki, but it's not, is it?
Takagi.
Is that how we say it? Okay.
And they find him and they take him to another level. And when they're in the lift, and this is where you see Hans is a bit sophisticated. He goes, "Nice suit, is it?" And I can't remember the name of the and he goes, "I've got 3 myself."
Yeah.
And what I liked about it is they elevate him as a bad guy, because he's not just a ruffian trying to come in. He knows his stuff.
We get the impression of being a classic guy, certainly. What I would say about the scene which is just immediately preceding that one, where Hans Gruber's got the assembled hostages, and he's basically saying, Joseph Takagi.
Yeah, Takagi.
And he's shouting out, and he's basically looking at anyone who looks even vaguely Japanese, and kind of they're all shitting themselves, but he's like trying to. And he reads out the biography of this guy.
Yeah, so he's done his research.
He's done research, yeah. But the biography, it makes. This is where. Well, I've got it here. He says, "Now, where is Mr. Tagaki? Joseph Yoshinobu Tagaki, born in Kyoto, Japan, 1937. Family immigrated to San Pedro, California, 1939. Interned to Manzanar, 1942 to 43. Scholarship student, University of California, 1955. Law degree, Stanford, 1962. MBA, Harvard, 1970. President Nakatomi Corporation, Chairman, Nakatomi Investment Group." And then Tagaki says, "Enough." He goes, "And father for 5. And that biography is, it's just a bullet point, but it is a guy who has done all sorts of very cool things with his life. He's got a family, he's got a bunch of qualifications. He was interned in a camp like so many Japanese American people were around war, which is just a whole grim area. But he's been in a camp as a child. And you look at that biography and you go, oh wow, what a guy. And then he stands up with no enough and gives himself up. So, and then yes, they have a chat on the lift. When the next scene happens,
Yeah, which we're going to get to in a second.
do you want me to pause or can I carry on?
No, cool. You can bring it out.
When the next scene happens, and basically in cold blood, he is shot in the head for not giving up the security code
For the safe.
That is when I'm like, okay, Hans Gruber, you are war.
Yeah.
Up until that point,
Yeah.
I kind of like what they were doing. I wanted them to shoot John McClane in the face. I wanted him to to learn what it's like to not want your wife to have you say, what's the word? I wanted him to learn what it's like to be kind of bullied by somebody, to like have a sort of person tell you what to do. I didn't like the scene where they shot the boss, but it was an important scene for me because it made me go, okay, these are really bad guys.
Yeah.
They're ruthless and they do need to be stopped, even if I do not like the person who is trying to do the stopping.
The one thing I liked about this scene is Hans Gruber is elevated because he is sophisticated, he knows his stuff, he talks about the suits and stuff, but at the end of the day, they're just petty thieves. You know, so it doesn't matter how sophisticated he is.
Stuff he'd read.
Yeah. So it worked well, and like you say, that scene counts to 3. There won't be a 4, and brutally murders him. And John's looking in the background because John escapes when the party's happening, and everybody's shooting as they're trying to check the rooms. John gets to an exit and goes up a level. Escapes and is trying to figure out what to do, and he's in the background and watches Joe Takagi get shot in the face.
Yeah, so he sees that there's an immediate threat here.
Yeah. So he's running around thinking what can I do, and he spots on a level where he is, which is still under construction, a fire alarm. So he pulls the fire alarm, get the fire brigade there to come and investigate the building.
I did think that sort of at this point where it all kind of starts to kick off, it's a cat and mouse game that starts at this point. And I did feel like this was exciting. I'm not immune to all the charms of the film. It was kind of, this is not quite right, yes, it's build an action thriller, And it did feel quite actiony and quite thrilling. But I really struggled with, I don't know if we're not quite there yet, but when he tries to raise the alarm, every member of authority in the police department and everywhere were awful. They were so awful.
Yeah, but that's
come on.
It's a trope of an action movie, isn't it? He's not got any help, and
I know, but they were so bad anyway.
So as all this is going on, you've got bad guys cutting through phone cables so no one can communicate with the building. The only phones that they've got is what they're using to go in and out. So once he raises the fire alarm, they send somebody up to have a look. They think they've got a security guard. Enter blonde villain number 1.
Is this Carl?
No, Carl's
the brother?
Yeah. And they have a bit of a scuffle. They fight, and then they fall down the stairs. John miraculously is perfectly fine. Blonde brother is, I would assume his neck's been broken or something with the fall. Yeah. So the fire brigade get called off because they call them, and then he decides, what can I do? So he checks the bag, and in the bag there is some detonators, although you're not aware of the detonators.
Yeah, some stuff.
There's a radio, and he's got a machine gun. So he decides to send the body down in the lift to the party and writes on it, now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho.
Again, if you took up the ho ho ho, that could be any time.
Oh well, it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So the bad guys are very discombobulated. Carl, we find out, is the brother of this guy, and he goes mad and he wants blood.
Yeah, this is a personal issue for him.
Yeah. So Hans tells him to calm down, you'll have your time. So we then start to see the vault, and henchman, I'll call him number 2 because Carl's henchman number 1 really, Henchman number 2 is the black guy with the glasses who looks like a computer nerd.
He's the code person.
Yeah, he's the computer nerd.
Yeah.
He then attaches computer, breaks the code, and then starts drilling through. But he says there will be a problem. He said because once we get through, there'll be electronic magnets will kick in, and Hans Gruber says, "Don't worry, we've got it covered."
And John McClane started calling through the vent shaft.
No, this comes afterwards.
Okay.
So
I did that bit out.
So when John sends the lift down with the bad guy in,
Yeah.
John's on top of the lift and he's listening to who the bad guys are. And he hears Carl, he hears the name Hand, and he starts writing them down. The lift goes right up to the roof, and John thinks he's going to get crushed. And then he comes out, and the bad guys start looking for him. So he then enters the lift shaft.
Now, this was a part that I struggled with because it felt very claustrophobic, just as a visual thing, nothing to do with the plot or the characters. I just found it really, I don't know. I don't like hyperventilating when I watch them like that. They just feel very lazy. And I know we're supposed to be rooting for him, and I know it's going to be fine in the end, but I did not enjoy the scenes where he's in a very small space, crawling. Oh, I can't do it. Yeah.
Oops. Well, he ends up falling down this shaft, but miraculously catches a small ledge. I mean, for me, that was a little bit much, but it does create an iconic scene. So with him, when he puts the lighting on, when he's in the air vent, is an iconic scene.
It's a shot, is it, from like posters and things, I guess. I feel like I've seen that a million times as well.
Yeah.
This film is relatively new to me.
So the bad guys then realise that he's in the air vent because they see the lighter light up the vent. So they run down and they start poking the vents, which are some kind of aluminium, or if you're American, aluminum. Just before they poke the bit where John McClane is, the police arrive.
Yes. Now, is this Al?
This is Al, yeah.
Okay. Al is in Crocodile Dundee as Gus, and that's how I know him.
Oh, I didn't spot that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so the limo driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that Argyle's the limo driver.
No, in Crocodile
Dundee.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So John gets through out of the ventilation shaft and sees that Al's outside.
Al, who has been called to do this, just a quick patrol, while he's buying snacks for his pregnant wife.
Yeah.
So that is
a Twinkie.
It's Twinkies.
Yeah.
Sure, that's not the baby.
Yeah.
But anyway, it makes me like Al because it's not about his ego and his name. It's about how can I make a woman in my life feel good. I'm going to get her some snacks while she's pregnant. Wouldn't it be nice if John McClane has thought, how can I make the woman in my life feel good? I'll be supportive about her new job. All I'm saying. I liked Al.
Yeah. So John gets into another gunfight as Al's pulling up and starts to crawl under the table. And there's a guy walking across the table and he says to him the line something like, you should have took the shot when you had the chance. And then John goes, thanks for the advice, and then shoots him.
Gratuitously.
Yes, obviously. So Al's little patrol is finished because he thinks there's nothing going on, he can't hear them, so he goes, sod this, gets back in the car. So John throws the body out, makes it land on the car, and then all the other bad guys start shooting the car. And as Al says, they're trying to turn his car into Swiss cheese, and that's where John shouts the immortal line, welcome to the party, pal.
Okay, so immortal that I hadn't realised that was a line.
That was a line.
So immortal.
So the police turn up, and Al...
It was a bad crack. Al had a bad crack. He kind of falls down the slope, and it's really great.
The one thing about it, and I was aware of this time of watching it, the car's jammed, from the front bumper to the back bumper, suspended in the air, right? And Al just gets out like he's a small guy about to jump out the car, and he's quite a big guy.
I didn't notice that, but I will.
You will next time you watch it.
Oh, do you think there'll be a next time?
Yeah. I'll wait till we get to Die Hard 2 next Christmas.
No.
So
it's Christmas.
It's snowy. It must be.
Didn't realise it's up the Christmas people.
One thing I do like in the sequel, he utters the immortal line, how can the same shit happen to the same guy twice? Which I thought was just a bit of
echoing the thoughts of cinema goers everywhere.
So Al brings the police, and then
he brings Paul Gleason,
Yeah.
who is the worst detective ever. He always plays these awful people. He's the teacher in The Breakfast Club, and he's in Trading Places. He plays the government guy, the bonds guy who has to go and get the...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He always plays horrible people.
He's typecast.
I hope he was a nice guy in real life, but, you know, Paul Gleason playing his usual, I'm not listening to anything anyone tells me, I will do what I want, and it actually won't be the right thing. But the police turn him.
The police arrive and they decide to send SWAT in. Right? They don't know whether John is the bad guy.
Yeah.
At this point, they think he could be the terrorist. He names himself, is it Roy Rogers?
Yes.
Rather than give his name over the radio because he knows the bad guys are listening. So they send the SWAT in. A couple of SWAT guys get shot. And then they send in the armoured vehicle. And they think they're just going to go right through the front. But the bad guys have come prepared with basically air missiles or bazookas or something.
All the while Al is trying to point out that's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But no one's listened to Al.
No, because Al's just a flatfoot.
Al's been on like desk duty virtually, or just like, you know, the lowest of the low jobs because of some incident that we hear about later.
Yeah. So John gets a bit of a problem because they shot these guys. So he basically puts some C4, which he's got in his bag, and the detonators to a chair with a computer screen and drops it and kills quite a few bad guys on the floor. Now, again, this is another thing I will point out. How do we know the exact time and when the explosion was going to go off to be that exact floor to kill all the bad guys? Because we could have killed everybody at the party.
It's a film.
So
I feel like every time you make a comment, I have to go, it's fictional. It's not a document.
So, anyway, we get to your favourite scene now.
Okay.
Ellis tries to negotiate.
Ellis.
Yeah.
What a sleazy bastard.
Yeah. So Ellis comes in to speak to Hans and says, look, I'm a negotiator. I negotiate billion-dollar deals and stuff. You know, that's all you're looking for, a big negotiation, right? And he is like the most cockiest bastard you'll ever meet.
He's horrible. He deserves everything.
Yeah. So he says he knows who the guy is. He's a friend of his. So he gets the radio and says, John, come in, hand yourself in. You know, just let these guys do what they want to do. You know, capiche?
Oh,
yeah, the capiche.
Capiche.
And he says over the radio to John, he says, look, if you don't come down, these guys are going to kill me. And John immediately knows what's going on. He goes, Ellis, tell them you don't know me. He says, you've just met me once. They will kill you. And then Ellis says the words, you know, you don't have to be method acting here. Because as Hans pulls out a gun, and then he shoots Ellis and John.
On behalf of us all, I say thank you.
It's one of the best on-screen deaths ever.
I mean, I know that's the point, isn't it? He's set up, that character's set up that we all hate him.
Yeah.
He's obnoxious from the start, he's sexually predatory, he's constantly hassling Holly, he's just cocky and awful.
They picked the right actor because he does it so well. He does it really well.
Him.
And like I say, if you see him in Supergirl, he is a different character. He's this hunky gardener guy, and I was like,
is
what?
It because he's an actor?
Yeah. So
at this point, I feel like I just need to constantly bring you back to where I was mentally. So I get that Hans Gruber is a baddie.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that. I mean, not that he did us all a favour by shooting Ellis, but he did shoot Mr. Tigarki, and I really felt that was wrong. It is wrong, but that made me feel very bad.
Does a bad thing equal a good thing? I don't know.
Yeah, he's shown that he's cold-blooded, he's killer, he's ruthless, we don't support him. But the only people I'm really rooting for in this scenario now are Holly, because I want her to have a lovely life with her children and her job. And Argyle, because every so often we just keep dropping back to Argyle.
He's just having the party of his life.
It does feel like, is this a little bit stereotypically racist? Probably, but at the time, I will live with it, you know. But he's just, he's there for light relief, comic relief. But I want him to get out alive. Basically. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. And also Al. Al is, there's more to say about Al at the end, but I'm rooting for him as well because what we've seen in the last sort of few scenes or so, is we have seen Paul Gleason turn up, his boss, who basically shits all over him and doesn't listen to anything he says and gets more people killed. Then we see the FBI turn up, two guys called Johnson, ridiculously, who then shit all over Paul Gleason, who then continues to shit all over.
So my next thing is the FBI arrives.
It's just a pissing contest. It's just a big macho, machismo-filled pissing contest, which I'm not really into. So I'm not that bothered about all these guys, but Al seemed to be the boss.
Because you're not bothered about the FBI in a few scenes.
Well, Al was the one who feels like he's bullied, and he's a nice guy, just wanting to do his job and get his pregnant wife some treats, all that, I'm rooting for him too, basically. Not necessarily rooting for John McCain, but,
Yeah. So, after the FBI arrived, John was like, why were all the bad guys near the roof? So he goes up to investigate. Now, again, this is a bit of a plot hole for me, because as he gets up there, he bumps into Hans Gruber. Now, the plot hole is for me, he's the lead boss. Why would he be up there by himself?
Okay.
Right.
Fair enough. It's interesting when they do clap eyes on each other. Again, the visual image of smart, blue, nice, clean suit. And by this point, John McClane is rank. His vest is grey. He's covered. He looks awful. So it's an interesting,
totally
juxtaposition.
Hans puts on an accent. And says his name's Clay. Right?
William Clay.
Yeah. And Bruce goes along with it. Hans looks down at, he's got no socks on, and he says, better being caught with your pants down, eh? And they have a bit of a laugh. But John is sensing something's not quite right. So he gives Hans a gun and says, look, this is how you use it, and blah, 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 and then turns his back on him. And then Hans picks up a radio and then radios down in his proper voice to the other bad guys and say, we're on the roof, we'll have the detonators. And Bruce turns round and he goes, you got me a little bit with that accent. He said, but, didn't completely fool me. To which Hans goes to shoot him and the gun is empty.
So my question here, and I don't know if you know the answer, I was like, when Hans said, I'm Bill Clay, I was like, oh, clever that you're going to pretend that you're one of the people who works here. How did John McClane know he wasn't? What prompted him to give him the empty chamber?
It was the name. It was the name on the board. I mean, the one thing, again, another plot hole, why would everybody's name be listed up in the roof? So I love this film, but there's some plot holes in it.
I think you do have to take quite a leap.
So he got onto the fact that the name wasn't 100% correct.
No, it was Bill Clay.
It was William.
Okay.
Yeah, it was William.
Yeah. I thought, that's clever that he saw the name, says that's who he is. What gave it away? But I just didn't know, and I don't know if you know.
It was just the way he said it, I would imagine.
Okay.
Because
nothing tells me that John McClane is a bright guy here. He's just a thug.
He's a very good cop.
He's a thug. But anyway, go on.
So the other bad guys arrive as John's pointing the gun at Hans, and John jumps into this. It's like an IT room, I think. Okay. And there's a bit of a shootout, and then Hans says, shoot the glass. It's the way he says it, the glass, because he knows he's got no socks on.
Now, is this when he says it in German? And because at one point it says Fenster, which is window.
Yeah.
So, can I point out here, I've been doing German Duolingo for what feels like the whole of my life, but it's only about 4 years. And I recognise loads of German words. So I felt quite small. Because it's not like it was actually fluent German, it's just obviously German words to make an American audience, hear. So they kind of were words that sound a little bit English then. But the grammar was so bad. It wasn't fluent German. They didn't speak fluent German, but they did use German words. At one point when he's talking about shooting, I think he says, I can't remember what the word for shoot was, but Fenster is window, and he says the window. But then he translates it as glass. I'm like, no, that's not glass. That's window. I'm just saying. I had to correct. I feel like someone needed to type.
But maybe someone who is supposedly fluent in German couldn't translate it as well, so he just said shoot the glass.
No, I just think they didn't care about any.
Listen. Do not slate the late great Alan Rickman.
No, he can do no wrong. I absolutely love him. I can't believe this is the first thing that Hollywood saw him do. Because he's such a good actor.
Yeah. So as all this is going on, we then see Richard Thornburg in the background, who's the reporter.
Yes. Yeah. I'd completely forgotten him.
Yeah. So he has several scenes where he's listening to a police scanner and he can hear something's going off. And he turns up and he's filming it, and he sees the big bomb blast, and he's like, "Have you got that on camera?"
Yeah.
But his assistant finds out who is in the building and tracks it down to where Holly Gennaro lives.
Yeah, so this is not making the journalistic world look at all moral or ethical or horrible.
So they turn up at Miss Gennaro's house.
Yeah.
And the babysitter,
nanny / housekeeper.
Yeah, is she Mexican?
She
had an accent.
They imply that she's potentially Central or South American, but the actress is actually Italian, I guess.
And
not
they
really.
basically said, "We'll get the IRS here, and if you don't, they'll be all over you and stuff."
Yeah.
So she allows them in to film the children.
This
I know.
No.
I know.
Come on.
I know.
Come on.
This is a movie.
Oh yeah, I know. I usually have to tell you that.
And Hans sees this on the TV, which at no point am I aware that he's watching TV at any point up until this moment. And he then flips over, because he recognises the kids, he recognises Miss Gennaro, and he sees the picture turned over, and he flips it over, and then realises it is Holly, John McClane's wife.
Well, in terms of plot, so at this point, I now understood. Oh, this is why you made a big sort of show. Well, this is why we saw you turn the picture down. This is why we know you had your own name. It's not about your independence and the fact you're not they're trying to show your marriage.
Point.
It's a plot point so that he doesn't know you're related. Okay, fine. However, does it matter that they're related or not?
Well, he'd have more leverage, wouldn't he? You know, he would get John, if he got her hostage, John would come down.
Okay, I suppose. I just thought...
You've got to think of action movies.
I know, I just kind of thought, well, so what if they're related? She's still being held against her will, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, okay. All right.
So at the same time as this is going on the outside, the FBI are doing their power play.
Yeah.
They cut the power, to which the city grid guy is very against. When they cut the power, it opens up the safe. They start taking all the bonds out and start loading the... Yeah,
whatever they are.
I have no idea. I'll just call them bonds.
Real ones.
Yeah. And start loading what I thought was the truck, but it wasn't. It was actually an ambulance inside the truck. So Hans is negotiating with the FBI, saying he wants some helicopters, some brothers of freedom fighters, freed, and all this, all nonsense.
So the German, he says is he representing or another group called Volksfrei? And that's people free.
Yeah.
Germans, okay? People's free.
Well,
okay.
Well,
It just makes me laugh. It's made up.
Yeah.
It's made up.
So the FBI come with helicopters. The bad guys' Hans sends all the hostages up to the roof where it's all wired to blow. John realises what's going on, runs to the roof, starts shouting, "Where's Holly? Where's Holly?" And he said, "They've got her downstairs." So he starts firing a gun to get everybody off the roof, to get them scared. As the FBI come, they think he is the bad guy. So they start shooting at him.
It does not show the FBI in a good light.
No.
It's so stupid.
The FBI are just arrogant arseholes.
Yeah.
So John knows the roof's going to blow.
And you will put that out on your socials.
Yeah, I don't think that'll go down really well. So John knows the roof's going to blow and he's trying to make an escape plan. And the only thing he can think of is to tie a fire hose around his waist and jump off the building. As he jumps off the building, the explosion happens, taking out both of the helicopters. He then comes down the building and then hits glass.
It's absolute carnage.
Yeah, everything's going on.
It's madness what's happening.
The police chief, is it Paul Gleason, did you say?
Paul Gleason.
Yeah, has a funny line saying, "I think we're going to need some new FBI guys," which always amuses me. So John shoots
comedy.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, there's some good moments. There's some good comedy in it.
Yeah.
John shoots through the window, swings out, shoots through the window, and falls. But the rest of the fire hose falls down, nearly pulling him out the window. Manages to just escape in time. At this moment, Hans is down with Holly and henchman number 3, I will call him. He doesn't get a name.
Sure he does on IMDb, but okay, let's go with what you said.
John looks at what he's got left. He's got 0 bullets left in his machine gun. and he has got a handgun with a few bullets left
And
in.
he is bleed. He is a mess.
He's in a
He's
big
glass in
mess.
his foot. So
Yeah.
it's been, and he's covered. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. He looks round to see what he can do. He spots a little bit of tape and some Christmas presents, and then goes to confront Hans and henchman number 3. Holly's there, and he's like, Holly, and she looks, she sees he's a mess and stuff. Hans says, look, if you don't put the gun down, we'll shoot her. So obviously he puts the machine gun down, which had 0 bullets in, and then Hans starts to say, you're a bit of a pain in the arse sort of thing, and John starts laughing. And as he's laughing, it cuts to a shot where you see him from behind, and he's got a gun taped between his shoulder blades. Hans starts laughing, and then John shouts, Holly, and he takes out Hans and henchman number 3. But as he takes out Hans has got hold of Holly and then stumbles towards a glass window where he falls, and he's still holding on to Holly outside the window. She looks like she's going to be dragged out, and he's holding on by the watch.
The watch, the symbol of her success and her achievements and her personal job.
Yeah. So they managed
So of course we have to get rid of that.
They managed to unclasp the watch to Hans.
Their independence falls out the window.
Yeah, to Hans falling.
Yeah.
But I know a little bit of a fact about this. You know that shot of him falling?
Yeah.
I mean, the sheer fear on his face. Yeah.
I think I know what you're going to say.
They didn't tell him when they were going to drop.
Yeah.
They were saying, we'll drop a 3, 2, 1. And before they went 3, they just dropped him. And he, it is a real look of fear.
I would argue that you don't need to trick Alan Rickman into good acting. I'm just saying. I think that's an unscrupulous thing to do on a set.
It is, but it worked.
No, not having it.
So,
Alan can do anything.
cue an embrace between Holly and John.
Or as I've written in my notes, a gross bloody embrace.
Well, same
it was
thing.
Gross because he's horrible.
Yeah.
But okay.
So they walk down, and this is where a bit of cheese comes into it now. You see Al outside. He immediately knows who Al is. I mean, there's thousands of people out there, and they give each other a look, and then they start hugging and stuff.
I liked that. That felt like it needed to happen. It's a necessity at that point.
Police chief comes over and goes, "You've got a lot to answer for, city damage and all this kind of stuff." To another huge plot hole moment, suddenly Carl is in half a body bag. I mean, nobody's took crime scene photos of where all these people are, but they've suddenly brought a body out, and he lifts up about to shoot John. John protects Holly, and then you see a gunshot go off, several shots, killing Carl, and then it zooms back and it's Al.
Yeah.
Al's had a little bit of redemption at the end.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
And then suddenly Argyle breaks out of the parking lot, drives immediately where John is, in the middle of all this crowd of people, and then says, "Come on, I'll take you home." And then utters the immortal line, "If this is what you do for Christmas, I can't wait till New Year." And then it ends.
Right, before we move on to the discourse, I feel like you've missed some massive key plot points. So I'm going to just come back to some things. I didn't sort of interrupt because I wasn't entirely sure where they fitted in, but we have to put... Okay, throughout this whole film, this is a tiny thing to say. I really enjoyed Ode to Joy being played regularly. It's, it's Beethoven, isn't it? It's great. I like Ode to Joy. It was nice to hear it. It's a German.
Yeah, when the safe open and things like that.
And it feels Christmas even though it's not, so that kind of helps, There was a moment, there's a scene, and when I googled dialogue discourse, this came up a few times as well as a pivotal scene. It's towards the end, and it's when John McTiernan, he's bleeding and in pain, and he's really at his last ebb. And he has a humble moment, just a moment. It can't be humble much, but he's humble for a moment. And he's talking to Al on the thingamabobs, and he says, basically he just thinks he's going to die. So he says to tell Holly that he should have been more supportive, and I've written here, no shit. Has he learnt something? Has this character learnt something? And has his character been on a journey? Because that's my issue with this. Often in big macho guys, they have to come on a journey, otherwise what's the point of the film? It's just grotesque, it's just, insurance as violence. He has to have learned something. So I guess he has, because he does say, okay, this looks like...
Could have been a better husband.
Could have been a better husband, could have been more supportive, and he does say, tell Holly I'm sorry. So for that brief scene, there's an element of, okay, now it doesn't forgive anything he's done for me, whatever. But it's a scene that's involved Because at that point you think, okay, so now you've learned not to be that guy, and when you come through at the end, you will be a changed person, because that's the point of the story. You know, you go through something and you change for the better, hopefully. So then when at the end he meets Al, and that's all nice, he introduces his wife as Holly Gennaro.
Yes, that was a good line. Forgot about that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Good. So he has made a bit of a change. But she is a daughter of the patriarchy and can't deal with this, because she goes, no, Holly McLean, now I want to slap her silly. Come on.
So what that signified to me. So what that signified to me was he was prepared to embrace that she took it.
It shouldn't be a thing to embrace. It should just be a thing.
But she showed that they're still married.
I don't think it should be. And I will tell her that if I ever see her.
Well,
I just feel like she's been groomed by her husband to be subservient.
I don't think
so
that's
is she going to keep her job? Because
she'll keep a job. She'll keep a job.
We don't know this, because one of the whole issues is she's gone and taken this great job where she's really successful. With the death of various people in the company, she's probably top dog now. Do you know what I mean? We see her leadership qualities when she goes in and negotiates for like a city for the pregnant colleague and the toilet breaks and everything. So I just was annoyed by her, but also he's not made enough of the journey for me. I want him to be better. I want him to go, no, you keep your name. Quite right, you've earned it, and I'll move here and I'll support you, whatever. But he doesn't.
So what you don't know, because you haven't watched Die Hard 2.
Well, I don't need to, because it should be told in this film.
No, she's still living there and he's still living there, but he's coming happily over to see her. No, she's coming to see him. She's coming to see him.
The other thing to mention, and this is really was a disappointment for me at the end of the film, because it feels like I've watched, 2 hours or something, 2 hours 12 minutes. I'm sitting there watching violence, and I'm not prudish about, as long as it's part of the story and it tells the story and it pushes things on, and it's, you know, I don't mind the good guy bad guy scenario. I just wasn't convinced that the good guy was a good guy for me. So I've watched all this violence, I've watched all this, and the story very much, the theme of the story very much seems to be the glorification of violence. You know, the bigger the machine gun, the bigger the explosion, the blown up helicopter. It's just so overblown, and that's not criticism necessarily, because that's the point of these big action thrillers, particularly of this era. But I'm watching the whole thing of, basically, he saves his marriage by being violent, not to her, but by, you know, no one wants to be Alice. He's awful, but he's slimy, awful in a kind of obsequious way. But nobody wants a bloke who's going to start, like, you know, gunning down loads of people and just be like, hey, motherfucker, you know, it's horrible. Well, maybe people do. I don't know. I don't. But what was really disappointing was Al, because I liked him a lot. I warmed to him immediately. Like I said, he was fine. He's next to his pregnant wife. He seemed a good guy. He'd had some issue in the past, which is why he was not on a kind of, you know, an actual sort of active job. He was just sort of trolling. And he tells John, doesn't he, about how he shot the kid, which is obviously awful. And he's lived with that ever since. It's terrible. But Al, it's like portrayed as Al getting his manhood back, because he shoots a guy at the end. It's like, oh, thank goodness, he's come back to the real him. He's now a guy again. He can be a great cop because he's shot someone dead. I appreciate the fact that the guy who got shot was self-defense almost. You know, I don't have a problem necessarily with that guy's death, because we've seen him be bad. Which in the action thriller movie world, it means he has to die. It doesn't mean he has to end real life, blah, blah, blah. People can have trials, all that. But I do feel like that redemption, the violence as a form of redemption, felt really icky, and I was very disappointed that that's how Al got his narrative conclusion.
I understand what you're saying there, but I didn't think he got his manhood back.
That's how it's portrayed. He's now a proper police officer again. Now he's got some pride in who he is. The way he stands tall at the end.
He just blamed himself because he did something that, you know, he could have avoided, and this was unavoidable, and that was it. And it just made him cancel out the guilt he felt. That was all.
To me, it felt wrong. But anyway, that's why we do the podcast. So,
your thoughts?
Let's do some discourse.
All right. So, give me your thoughts on the movie.
Okay. I would have enjoyed this film a million times more if John McClane hadn't been such an arsehole. I know maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
Maybe we're supposed to see him as a flawed hero. But for me, when I'm having to stomach and accept violence as a plot point, I need to really like the person who's being violent. They have to be really ethically good. It has to be really black and white for me. I don't want to just see people being violent. So I'll give you the example of Jack Reacher. Now I'm not for a second going to even mention Tom Cruise's version because I'm not forgiven.
So I'm just going to add, they're really good films if they're not Jack Reacher.
Okay, but I wouldn't. Well, the point that I want to make doesn't stand for his version of Jack Reacher. Okay, you can still enjoy them, but that's not the point. So I'm a fan of the books. I read a lot of the Jack Reacher books, and I've watched the Amazon Prime series with Alan Richardson. And the Amazon Prime series is exactly like the books, I think. And that means that Alan Richardson plays Jack Reacher as somebody who is incredibly big and strong and tough, but does not get involved and is not violent in any way, does not do anything. He's a bit of a pussycat. He just wants to get his coffee and listen to his music. But the minute he sees someone being bullied or being threatened or, having something terrible happen to them, he will step in. And he doesn't, he's completely in control. He plans it, he works out what he needs to do, he sorts out the bad guys, and then he moves on. That's what I need for a hero in an action thriller, someone who is morally, look, they're still going to kill people, so it's not morally great. But in the world of action thrillers, it's morally okay, because that's the point of the thing. I need someone whose whole personality is basically spot on and ethical for me to accept that it's okay for him to kill the bad guys. John McClane is not that guy, so I struggled all the way through. I did not care about him, didn't care about his marriage, because I thought it should be over. I thought she should run for the hills. Holly should just go back to New York, not interested. That was a big sticking point all the way through. I would have rooted for Hans Gruber had he not shot the boss.
So, interesting question now, in terms of the Jack Reacher stories, when was the first book for Jack Reacher?
I'd say mid-90s.
Right. So maybe the action hero had moved on from that moment of flawed individual. The thing you've got to remember, the action heroes before John McClane, where your Arnold Schwarzeneggers, where your Rambos, your Commandos and things, and they just basically, they were untouchable. They didn't get hurt. They just killed people, and hardly any blood. Where this was a new type of action film where he wasn't the perfect hero. He was flawed, he had things wrong with him, he bled, he was hurt, and it was different to the other action movies that had gone before.
But had he not survived the film, I wouldn't have been that bothered. As a viewer and watching the story, it wouldn't have made me upset. I wouldn't have been bothered, and I think that's a problem if you're trying to make,
He survived 5 more films, dude.
Sweet baby.
Yeah. But I get your point. You can look at it from your perspective. He's flawed and doesn't get any sort of redemption. Yeah,
it's not nice.
Yeah,
we're all flaws.
But through watching the other films, you do see an arc of a character.
Okay.
And like I said, the second one's fairly good. The third one's very good. The third one, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Samuel L. Jackson is in it as well. But I understand where you're coming from with the character.
I think because I'm not really that, but I don't seek out the really violent film. So when there is a really violent film, it's not that I hate it. It's just that I really need to like the person who's being violent, and I didn't. The other thing that I found interesting, and I don't want to rehash the same arguments, but there's so much debate about is it a Christmas film, and it doesn't really matter. But do you want to know what Bruce Willis thinks? So this was in an article. It's actually by heart.co.uk, which is at the radio station. /showbiz /TV movies / is Die Hard a Christmas movie answered.
Yeah.
So there we go. Link in the show notes, obviously. What does Bruce Willis think? So Bruce Willis famously declared at his 2018 Comedy Central roast, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, it's a Bruce Willis movie, which feels something John McClane would say.
Yeah.
However, by 2022 his stance has softened considerably. Okay, Reginald Vel Johnson, who plays Al, took the opposite view. Of course it's a Christmas movie. It's about love, it's about giving, it's about friendship, all the things that Christmas is about. He said that in 2021. And director John McTiernan, who directed, I'll say that again. Director John McTiernan has acknowledged that the Christmas setting was initially chosen for practical reasons. We hadn't intended it to be a Christmas movie, he revealed in a 2020 American Film Institute interview. But the joy that came from it being a Christmas movie became a surprise. Although it was interesting, it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
But it's obviously gathered a kind of
momentum
from fans.
So, have you got more to say?
Let me just see if there's anything. Oh, I've got a couple of things. Just a couple of things to show notes. So there's just a couple of other things for the show notes that are just baked little tiny things. One was I did find an article about the German, like words in it.
Yeah.
So like I said, I recognise something. There's one point when the first blonde-haired guy's walking, like finding his way.
Yeah.
He's going links.
Yeah.
That means left.
Yeah.
So I knew that he's going to turn left. But there's an article from Slate, in I think it's 2024, where it just points out like loads of the phrasing is certainly grammatically not German or not accurate. And then I also found a leadership communications company called SNP, and they've used Die Hard as a reference for training people in effective leadership skills. Fair play.
Alan Rickman.
Well, yeah, I think maybe things like adaptability in the face of adversity, rethinking what you've got to do on the job, communication. He was constantly checking in with Al. He constantly kept his team, appraised. Staying calm under pressure. I would argue that Holly demonstrated all those more than John McClane. I don't think he did necessarily stay calm under pressure, but Holly should get promotion. That's the true story for me. Holly,
fair play.
Get your life sorted and then.
So, we'll end this before we do our final words. Now that it's ended, do you think this is a Christmas movie or not?
I don't feel the need to add to my Christmas list. And if I did watch it again, it wouldn't need to be a Christmas.
Yes. But just because it's not added to your Christmas list, is it a Christmas movie or not?
Not for me.
Okay, fair
Too
play.
much violence, not enough nice feelings.
Well,
Too much feet.
Well, thank you so much for listening to our aggro this year. We'll be back in spring for season 2.
Yeah, we've got another season of movies that we're going to be forced to watch by each other. It only makes sense if you listen. So thank you for your ears. We really do appreciate it.
And while they're waiting, if people want more, where can they find you?
I'm at nickybond.com, or you can look for the Lisa McAuliffe stories online. How about you?
I can be found on Toffees or Us on YouTube.
So thanks for listening. Have a wonderful Christmas, and until spring arrives, bye-bye.
And thank you and see you later.